Well, tonight, a storm of questions hung over the Ghana Air Force helicopter crash that left 8 dead. Almost a week later, silence and scant details fueling growing suspicion. Now, what was the response when the aircraft vanished from the radar? Was the search and rescue manual ignored? Critics, led by Imani Africa's Bright Simon, says this was more than an accident. It was a collapse of the very rescue system meant to save lives. He describes as, quote, complete breakdown. And of course, Ghana's search and rescue framework, a blueprint for swift multi-agency action that, in a moment of crisis, never came to life. We'll hear from him shortly. Soon, our JoyNews research desk will be joining us in studio to break this issue down for us in a moment. And for Steve, there you have that on your screen. It's talking about the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority's search protocols. And there are a few of the points there on the screen that Caleb will soon be taking us through. Caleb, let's start with what we know about the distance they traveled and the location of the crash site itself.
Carlos, so we know the flight took off from Accra at 9:12 a.m. and headed for Buache in the Ashanti region. Now, if you are taking a commercial flight, that's by the normal plane, from Accra to Kumasi, it's about 45 minutes or 40 minutes. So if you are taking a military aircraft, which is faster than the commercial flights, we should expect the time to be almost the same. So we are expecting that maybe within 1 hour, the flight should have landed in Buache. So that's from 9:12, leaving Accra, to 10:12 in Buache.
Right.
So the flight should have landed around 10:12. But then, based on the checks we've received, and then also the data we've gathered from the official crash site, we have seen that the flight was almost at its destination. No, it was about 93% complete, and then the remaining of the journey was about 13 kilometers. So about just 4 minutes away from its destination, and we saw what happened. And for context, the remaining journey was from about the Jubilee House to Medina, so not far at all.
Right, so walk us through the protocols that should have been followed, when the accident actually happened.
Okay, so according to the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, and they are supposed to be in charge of any search and rescue mission in the country, once you lose communication with your aircraft for 30 minutes, or if your aircraft doesn't land 30 minutes after its estimated time, you must begin searching immediately. So, and based on our checks, this means that before 10 a.m. that day, there should have been checks. The check should have begun before 10 a.m. Sorry. So 30 minutes after you lose communication, or 30 minutes after you're supposed to land, you're supposed to begin your search immediately.
Okay. So that's the first step.
That's the first step.
Right.
So once that's done, then you're supposed to start your search where you last located your aircraft. So where you lost the radar with your aircraft, begin your search there. And from that point, the protocol also gives us a radius to work with. So it gives you a few meters ahead, a few meters behind, and all around where you last saw your aircraft. So that's where you're supposed to begin a journey. And this is where, if possible, you can send an aircraft, a different aircraft from your base, to go to that particular point and start the search from there.
Okay.
We don't know if this was done.
Right.
Now, when that happens, and if you cannot locate the aircraft in the sky, or you cannot locate it, the next option is to locate those on the ground. So because we have a radius to work with, you can contact on the ground the local assemblies around that particular area. So your assemblymen, the DCs, or the local authorities, contact them and tell them that we're looking for an aircraft. Has it landed in your vicinity?
Okay.
If not, then we'll go to FM broadcasting. So the radio stations, you speak to the radio stations in that locality. Let them broadcast a message that we've lost an aircraft. Has anyone seen it? Then you give them phone numbers to call to, or email addresses, or anything. They'll call you and say, oh, we've located an aircraft, or we saw it pass here 5 minutes ago. Then you can use that to follow up. Okay. Now, the next option is that if it's indeed a crash, you've located your crash site, the next option is to deploy everything. Deploy your military, the army, deploy the police, deploy NADMO, deploy the Forestry Commission, deploy the Forestry Commission, deploy NADMO, and deploy the fire service, as well as health professionals. And this is not supposed to be done one after the other. You're supposed to deploy them at once.
Right.
So once you know that the crash site is at Adanse, they are supposed to deploy the police immediately. And usually we have police in every district. So the police are supposed to get there first, cordon up the area, and then wait for the fire service, army, forestry commission, and NANMO to come to the scene and then take it from there.
But as it stands now, we cannot independently say these protocols were followed. As it stands now.
Well, we can't say that the police did not cordon up the area immediately.
Okay.
Because our reporter was on the ground, and we saw how some of the materials were, and then some of the dead bodies were carried off the site without the police being present.
Right.
So that, but then when the search began, we cannot tell whether the armed forces began the search immediately, they lost radar contact,
right,
or they waited for the estimated arrival time.
All right. Thank you so much, Caleb, for those details.
Well, Carlos, we can now listen to Bright Simmons, who says there was a complete breakdown of Ghana's search and rescue framework.
So we are looking more at either the emergency location transmitter or in some instances we call a personal locator beacon. But whatever be the specifics, there will normally be some device in the aircraft, in this case the helicopter, that will activate on crash. And that will send a signal on a dedicated frequency to a satellite network, a global satellite network. And that global satellite network will relay through mission control centers. And in Ghana, we have a rescue coordination center in Accra, under the aegis also of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. So when they get this signal, they're supposed to notify all the contacts, key contacts in different institutions, so that you can do a response. In the specific case of a military aircraft, if the ELT, and that's where the issues arrive, if our ELT protocol is not working, either because that device is not in the plane, or there was some kind of fault in relaying that message to the satellite, or whatever be the situation, a military aircraft would typically also have a PLB, which is a more local signaling device. Now, once the radar contact was lost, the traditional protocol is that you have flight following and tracking. Somebody attempts to find a missing aircraft. So I've tried to get conclusive information from our sources, and the information that is being produced currently is not coherent. So it's very clear to me, because obviously we have to, compare that to what we all saw on TV, on social media, etc. And it's very clear that even if these systems existed, they were not activated. Because we know for sure, for instance, that the Ghana Air Force could not secure the site.
Well, security analyst Festus Buache retired also raised concerns on ground protocols, describing the handling of the charred bodies held in cocoa sacks are deeply troubling.
I cannot imagine that in this day and age, any human being, let alone the caliber of the people who were lost, that their remains will be carried in cocoa sacks. So when you start digging deeper, you ask yourself, what was the response mechanism? I know now, from whatever sources that I have, that the whole response mechanism had at its center national security. But national security alone is not the response mechanism. You need, for instance, the National Fire Service to be part of it. What we call in Ghana the National Ambulance Service, although decentralized, should be part of it. The Ghana Police Service should be part of this response mechanism for this event. Then, of course, the Ghana Armed Forces, and particularly the Ghana Armed Air Force, which operates the machines. Where were the body bags? Could they have been flown by another helicopter and dropped on the treetops for them in a very dignifying manner, not in cocoa sacks, for them to be, put in those zip bags in order to preserve whatever remains there were, and in order not for those remains or fluids, whatever, to contaminate those who were carrying them. It's very, very, I can't imagine how I can explain.
Well, let's bring in Nanaya Okwada. He is a public safety analyst and advocate. Thank you so much for your time. Briefly, what would you say with regards to what we've seen, the handling of the crime scene and everything that we've seen, from where you sit as a public safety person? What would you say?
Well, good evening to your viewers and to my colleague panelists. I think that to a large extent, the incident has shocked the conscience of the nation. And to the extent that we see that our emergency or first responder agencies are playing catch up, it's quite unfortunate. But it's not late. Such incidents happen to give us lessons that we can learn from and take it up from there. At this stage, it is evident that whatever emergency response procedures that we had in place, all the agencies connected together who have to, that have to work in order to ensure that such emergencies are handled seamlessly and in a fashion that dignifies those who perish and in a fashion that restores normalcy, we have failed. It tells me that we failed to have drills, for instance, emergency drills. We failed to test the procedures the response plans that we had in place, we failed to test them. We failed to even conduct table exercises. So at some point in time, we don't know who was really in charge. Is it the local police? Is it the armed forces? Is it NADMO? It took a while for us to really come up to speed to maintaining normalcy and having a command center at the crash site. So what we at the Bureau, what we see or what we would suggest is that moving forward, we know Ghana, I was part of the people who kind of put this emergency response, national emergency response document together. It is very important that we run through these processes from time to time, playing various scenarios and, going into very, very unfamiliar terrains to see how best we understand the system and how best we can respond to emergencies when they occur. This is very unfortunate, but it provides, a stress test for our multi-agency coordinating systems to put their acts together.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time here on JoyNews Prime.
Well, the Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Amoakohene, has confirmed that significant parts of the military helicopter that crashed last Wednesday, along with other personal belongings, have been retrieved. The Ashanti Regional Security Coordinating Council had previously appealed to residents to return any items collected from the crash site in exchange for a reward, warning that failure to comply would result to prosecution. So questions are still emerging as to the circumstances leading to the compromise of the crash site. And the question is, why exactly wasn't the site secured? How did scavengers even access it? And these are legitimate questions that individuals have been asking. Join me now on Zoom is President of the Ghana Academy of Forensic Scientists, Dr. Paul Pett Wepeba. We appreciate your time here on JoyNews Prime. I just want to get an understanding, because when it comes to forensic, one of the key things they teach us is that you have to cordon off the area. And in this case, what is your readings into how the site was handled? You'd have to unmute, Doc, for me to hear you clearly.
Right. Thank you for having me, and good evening to our viewers. The name is Paul Wepeba. Okay. To start with, I think we have been drumming home this point in the last 3 days about the fact that the appropriate thing wasn't done at the crime scene to secure the scene, to have made sure, various items were documented, properly handled, using forensic guidelines and so on and so forth. And a lot has been said about that. So for me, I think we need to move the conversation a bit up, one step, by looking at what we think we can actually do, reflecting over the happiness, because it's something that has happened. We cannot do anything about it again. We just need to look at how we can enhance, our emergency preparedness going forward to be able to forestall the improper handling of crime scenes in general in the country, and for that matter, in incidences like this. So for us as an academy, we are thinking of getting a policy document together. And so we want all the stakeholders on board to try and have a national forensic science policy. And this policy may lead to the formation of a national forensic agency or an authority that would oversee to the formulation of, a legislative document that would be able to determine how forensic science is practiced in Ghana, both in the public and private, institutions or sector. And again, once you have such an institution in place, the institution will see to it that we may be able to have what we call, intelligent databases, which includes DNA database, biometrics, iris fingerprinting, facial, and all of that. That can be very helpful in situations like this. Because when you talk of body recovery from a crime scene, it's not just the collection of the bodies, but the systematic handling of bodies and other items using forensic guidelines, which was missing in this situation, which we are thinking we should come together as a nation to be able to make sure the right thing is done. If you listen to all the speakers before me, it presupposes we have the guidelines, we have the protocols, but it is just that they were not adhered to. So we need to be able to go back to the drawing table, look at what went wrong, how we can improve upon that to forestall such, ills in the future.
Okay, uncovering what actually happened on the grounds is actually key. But we're hearing of scavengers taking over the crash sites, collecting key items. How would that affect the outcome of investigations?
Yes, taking items from the crime scene can affect or delay the outcome of investigations, because you need every piece of the wreckage to be able to tell a story. In forensics, we have what we call crime scene reconstruction. So to be able to reconstruct the crime scene, you need every piece that is missing. So if, for example, it's just like a puzzle, if a piece of it is missing, it means that it cannot be complete, isn't it? So we need to be able to get every bit of it. And I think the Ashanti Regional Minister is doing a human job by telling them to return whatever piece they have, taken away, to be able to help complete the story. Because for all you know, that bit that has been taken by somebody that is not being returned might contain some sensitive information that can actually help in the investigation. So it is good that they returned whatever they've taken. If they hadn't taken them, it would have been good, because once you find them in their original locations, you can't be able to use it to help unravel whatever happens within the shortest possible time. But if they've taken them away, it isn't good, but it doesn't mean that the process cannot go on to be able to get to the bottom of the case. So we only pray that they bring them, so the bodies that are mandated to do this will use such pieces together to be able to tell the story, reconstruct the scene, determine what happened, so we can prevent such occurrences in the future.
Thank you so much, Doc, for your time here on JoyNews Prime.
Well, concerns over the state of Ghana forces aircraft and efforts to modernize the militaries didn't start with the recent Adansi helicopter crash that claimed 8 lives, including Defense Minister Dr. Edward Omani Boama and Environment Minister Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. In 2021, the previous government signed 111 million euros deal with Czech aircraft manufacturer Aero Vodokody to procure 6 L-39NG aircraft for the Ghana Armed Forces. This deal was met with skepticism from the then minority, who questioned the manufacturer's competence and alleged that the contract was overpriced. We'll hear both sides of the House when the contract was sent to Parliament in 2021 shortly. But first, James Aveji joins me via Zoom with details of this particular contract. James, you have been studying, digging through Parliament archives on this particular matter. What have you found?
Well, Carlos, what we found so far indicates that this particular contract, as you may know, contracts exceeding certain amounts are supposed to be approved by Parliament. And so the previous government, through the then majority leader, the Honorable Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, on August 2nd, 2021, sent this contract to Parliament and laid it on behalf of the then Defense Minister, Dominic Nativo. It was expected to, the supplier or the manufacturer was expected to supply 6 of this L-39 next generation aircraft to Ghana, as well as support services, including training of personnel on this. And so, for those who are familiar with parliamentary processes, the Speaker on the day referred the deal to the Defense and Interior Committee to vet and approve first before the House goes ahead with that. We learned that the committee, as part of its work, actually flew to Czech Republic to ascertain the competence of the company, because at the time, the concern was that the company have since it's introduced the prototype of this particular aircraft, no country has purchased from them. Even Vietnam and Senegal, who ordered these aircraft in 2018, 3 years on in 2021, were not able to receive this aircraft. And so they flew to Czech Republic to do due diligence, and then they approved this particular deal. Parliament on December 17, 2021, then approved the contract. We can listen to the then ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee, Governs Kwame Agboja, on the concerns he had on the 17th of December 2021 about this particular deal.
Mr. Speaker, let's get it clear. This aircraft has been, a few countries have made commitment to this aircraft. As we speak, not a single country in this world has taken delivery of one of those aircraft. Listen. Not a single country. Listen. Prove it. I'm saying few countries, listen. Few countries have made commitment to buy this aircraft. Not a single one has got one of these aircraft in operation. On what basis are we saying that this is the best for us? Secondly, Mr. Speaker, the highest any country has paid for this aircraft so far, who have made a real commitment, was Vietnam. They paid $13.9 million for what? Why are we paying $14.7 million euros for what? Why are we paying $14.7 million for one when others paid $13.7 million? Mr. Speaker, nobody argues against retooling the Ghana Air Force. Far be from that. But Mr. Speaker, the things I said in terms of sequence of approval, there must be something wrong. Did the defense minister have the right to get PPA approval before cabinet approval? Is that what we do in this house? Something went wrong. I feel we should retool the Ghana Air Force. But this deal, as far as I'm concerned, is a risk we are taking. Let's do things better. And the sequence of this approval gives me the impression that it was probably not properly thought through. So I think the minister should probably withdraw this and come back again for us to approve an agreement that can retool the Air Force with efficient equipment.
Well, this was the then Minister for Defense, Dominic Ntiwo's justification on the day.
Mr. Speaker, the L-39 aircraft new generation is just an upgrade of the L-39 old one that we have used before. It's like buying a Mercedes-Benz or an iPhone 12, and then they brought an iPhone 13. It's just an upgrade of the old aircraft. I don't know where you are getting your facts from. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, let me also state something. That about 50 countries are using the L-39 aircraft. They've not had problems. The new generation aircraft. When you're speaking, I get fired. The new generation aircraft, which is an upgrade of the aircraft, has been, Mr. Speaker, ordered by 4 countries: Nigeria, Vietnam, the Czech Republic, Ghana, and Senegal. So please, get your facts right. Don't be emotional. Please, relax. Don't be emotional. Mr. Speaker, the Committee of Parliament went to the Czech Republic to satisfy themselves that the manufacturers were capable, the aircraft was good enough, and their report indicates same that this was a deal that was good for this country. Thirdly, as for the sequencing, I'm very shocked. If you sit in a ministry before, you will realize that it's not everything that goes to cabinet in terms of approval for loans, approval for contracts. But every contract must go to Public Procurement Authority. It's not every contract that you have signed that will go to cabinet.
Well, it's a good time to bring in the ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee, Reverend Inim. Ghanaians want to know what really happened to that deal. You were in Parliament, and I believe you can update us on that particular one.
Thank you very much, Carlos and Faustina. Firstly, my condolences to all the bereaved families of the departed 8, our fallen heroes who tragically lost their lives. The Honorable Minister for Defense, Honorable Dr. Edward Omani Boama, the Honorable Minister for Environment, Honorable Murtala Mohammed, the 3 crew, Squadron Leader Nala, Flying Officer Ampadu, Sergeant Ado, and all the dignitaries that were on board the flight and who perished in that national assignment. Our prayers are with the families, our condolences to His Excellency the President. Indeed, all of us are mourning, and it is expected that this event, rather sad, should unite all of us and should get us around a singular call in supporting the retooling of the Ghana Armed Forces. It's obvious from the narrative that you have shown that in time past, the opposition then sadly did politics with retooling of the Ghana Armed Forces. A month ago, I was in your studio just some weeks before the sad incident. And I made a point very clear that we in opposition will have to chart a path that is patriotic, that is nationalistic, devoid of partisan politics, and rally an advocacy for very massive advocacy to support the executive in retooling the Ghana Armed Forces. As a matter of record, a month ago, our committee, Defense and Interior, met with the Honorable Minister for Defense, Honorable Edward Omani Boama, the Chief of Defense Staff, and the High Command of the military, where we had a very extensive discussion on retooling efforts. We scrutinized various scenarios, and we came to the minimum, the critical and urgent requirements that we need as a matter of urgency to support the Ghana Armed Forces with. And we agreed that the platforms had to be retooled. The various helicopters and flights that we have to be retooled. Additional aircraft will have to be purchased. Or additional offshore patrol vessels will have to be purchased. And some key ammunitions that we armored personnel carriers, armored personnel buses, drones, and other very critical equipment that we agreed on, including the presidential jet. In matters like this, Carlos, it is so critical, the role of the minority. If the minority of the day fails to support the executive, it will be very difficult for the executive to go ahead to support the military in retooling them. And that's what we saw between 2021 and 2024, rather sadly. So we missed out on opportunity to receive additional 6 flights, aircrafts. We missed out on opportunity to add on additional 2 offshore patrol vessels for the Ghana Navy. And we missed out on an opportunity to escalate the discussions even in getting a befitting presidential jet. But you see, I made a call that we don't have to wait for the unfortunate to happen before we begin to now hold consultations to rally nationwide support. A time has come that we prioritize the safety of the president, the safety of Ghana Armed Forces, and the safety of all our citizens who use these platforms in the discharge of their legitimate duties. So let us all support the cause. We are expecting that the government will table before Parliament in the coming days a proposal, as we had earlier discussed and scrutinized. And when that discussion starts, I will appeal to the entire nation to rally support for the Ghana Armed Forces. This is time for us to put partisan politics aside, the times where opposition will rise to do politics with presidential travels. We have come to see that it was very unfortunate. A time where opposition stood to torpedo efforts by government in retooling Ghana Armed Forces, getting additional aircraft, additional offshore patrol vessels, additional equipment. Now we have come to accept as a nation that opposition have to be supportive. We will take a different narrative, a different posture, a supportive one. And in these times of mourning, every lesson we have to learn as politicians, we need to draw those lessons and to rally the entire country that there are certain issues and matters so critical that we need to resist the temptation to politicizing.
All right.
And so I want to urge that within this period we are mourning, but after the period of mourning, it is expected that the government should lead the efforts in bringing the proposals. And when they bring, our side would urge that we support. And it would also be very noble for the government to apologize to Ghanaians that indeed we got it wrong. We erred when we failed to support the incumbent government between 2021 and 2024 in doing what we are going to do today that we should have done some 4 years ago.
Is that to say we could have averted this disaster if we had gotten those 6 aircraft?
You know, we are still having investigations ongoing into what actually caused the incident. I will not preempt, the causative factors, but I would say, and I still maintain my stance that, whether or not this sad incident had occurred, if we determined as a nation in 2021 that we needed to retool the Ghana Armed Forces and procure for them additional platforms, then without prejudice to even the sad incident that has occurred, we need to go ahead.
All right, thank you so much,
with
Reverend.
this sad event happening, now we've lost a platform, we've lost a helicopter, and what that means is that we need to get additional helicopters. When the president is traveling externally, he may use a presidential jet. When he's traveling internally, he uses these platforms. And it's important we prioritize the safety of the president. So let us all support the call.
Thank you.
And urge the government to lead that effort.
Let's just leave it here. Thank you so much, Reverend. I think the point is made. You're still watching JoyNews Prime with me, Carlos Kaloni.
And I'm Faustina Safo. We'll be back after this quick turn. Please stay tuned in.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us here on JoyNews Prime.
To other stories now, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has waded into controversies surrounding the pronouncement of prophecies by some clergymen into the country, urging the public not to be dismissive about spiritual prophecies. The Speaker, who was out of the country when the incident happened, revealed that he's received prophecies himself, some of them frightening, but he doesn't dismiss them. He warned that we often wait until disaster strikes before we reflect. There's more in the following report.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin has weighed in on the ongoing national discourse concerning the role of spiritual prophecies in Ghana, especially following recent tragic events that have rocked the nation. Speaking during a condolence visit to the family home of the late acting Deputy National Security Coordinator, Alhaji Muniru Mohammed, the Speaker urged Ghanaians not to take prophetic pronouncements lightly.
Our people in in the spiritual world, the imams, the pastors, the reverends, we should listen to them. It's not all of them who are looking for money. Don't take what they say for granted. If they say act, act. I listen to all. I myself have been threatened many times. And I listen to the prophecies. I don't take them sleeping. Because that's their area. I can't say somebody who is not in parliament would know parliamentary work more than me. And so I don't know about the spiritual world more than those who are taking it as a career. And so all these things work for good. We should not ignore them.
Also present at the condolence visit was the majority leader, Mahama Yariga, who described the late Alhaji Muniru Muhammad as a devoted public servant and a man of integrity.
For me, the loss is painful, but we should live with the memory that they lived a very great life. They defined a path that we all admire, and we will continue to have memories of these wonderful persons, and we want to assure their families that we pledge to remain family members and replace, even though it is not possible to replace, but we will do our best as surviving family members.
As part of their tour to commiserate with families affected by recent losses, the parliamentary delegation also paid a visit to the home of the late former Defense Minister Dr. Edward Omani Buama, who was one of 8 persons who tragically lost their lives in the Adansi helicopter crash. The visit aimed to offer condolences and support to the bereaved families during this difficult period.
Well, the opposition NPP has pulled out of the Tamale Central by-election after the helicopter crash that killed MP and Environment Minister Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed and other officials. The party cited the tragic circumstances and the risk of deepening national polarization. There are excerpts of that statement which you have there on your screen. It says NPP will not contest the Tamale Central parliamentary by-election. The decision was taken by the party at a National Steering Committee meeting held on Monday, August 11, 2025, at the party headquarters pursuant to Article 10.10.1 of the party's constitution. Now, the statement goes on to say the seat became vacant after the death of Honorable Dr. Murtala Mohammed in the August 6 helicopter crash. The reason, avoid further polarization and national tension during this sensitive time. NPP says it would be inhumane to engage in competitive politics so soon after the tragedy. And the party calls for peaceful and smooth replacement for Tamale Central. Well, let's bring in the party's national organizer, Henry Nana Buache. Thank you so much for joining us. You are saying that the decision is based on preventing polarization. Many also believe that it could be that probably you are not sure of winning the seat. What would be your response to such critics?
Oh, I think, first of all, those who hold such views are entitled to do so, but then I think it is not born out of the fact. First of all, let me give you 2 examples. NDC has never won the Kumawu by-elections before, yet when we went for the by-election, they fielded a candidate. Again, in Buache North, when Honorable J.B. Dankwa unfortunately passed on, the NDC again pulled out, and the reason was that they didn't want to further deepen the sorrows and sadness of the family members and also the MPP members. So that is on record. So I do not think that is an issue at all. The most important thing here is that, look, the nation is mourning. We are all in grief. This is not, for me, for the party, the time for us to engage in fierce competition.
We seem to be losing you. Can you speak up a bit?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think it's better.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, so I was saying that our reason is born out of the fact that the nation is mourning. We are in grief. Honorable Murtala lost his life in the line of duty. He was on his way to execute a certain mandate for the country, and he passed on, unfortunately, through the helicopter crash. The party is of the view that this is not the time for us to go in search of a candidate and then we would engage in very competitive elections. No, that is not what we believe in.
Right.
So we have decided, out of respect for the late Honorable Dr. Murtala, out of respect, we have pulled out of this by-election.
Thank you so much for speaking to us here on JoyNews Prime.
Away from that, royal drums are dead silent while the Mancha Palace courtyard is draped in black and red. Ashanti man is bidding farewell to the Ashanti Hima Nana Konedu Yedum III. The Ashanti Hini today announced the passing of the Queen after a short illness on August 7, 2025. It follows an emergency council meeting on Monday afternoon where all paramount chiefs in the Ashanti region were summoned to attend. Regarded as a steadfast pillar of unity and cultural pride, Nana Konedu Yedum reigned for 8 years. Tonight, we take a look at the life and legacy of the Queen Mother, who carried the weight of history. Nana Buache Yedum has more in the following report.
Nana Konedu Yedum III was not only a maternal figure, but also a guardian of tradition who stood as a pillar of unity, whose influence was felt beyond the Mancha Palace. Born in 1927 as Nana Ama Konedu, she succeeded her mother, Nana Efiakobisia Wampem II, in 2017 as the 14th Ashanti Hima. The Queen became an indispensable advisor on traditional and cultural affairs to her biological brother, the Ashanti Hini. Throughout her reign, she championed the preservation of Ashanti customs and became an advocate for women's empowerment. Her leadership style, especially her warm reception, earned her respect from all walks of life, from the palace to ordinary market women. Nana Konedu Yedum herself was a national envoy who, on behalf of Ghana, received visiting presidents, dignitaries and foreign envoys at the Mancha Palace. At an emergency Ashantiman Council meeting where all chiefs were clad in black, Otumfo Osetutu II, in a sober mood, announced the Ashanti Hima's demise.
I was told of the demise of my old lady when I planned on traveling. She died on Thursday. We have to make arrangements and inform Nananom.
The The late Asante Hima will be remembered not only for her royal responsibilities, but also for her motherly role and influence in safeguarding the values of the Ashanti Kingdom. Though her passing marks the end of an era, her legacies will continue to shape the cultural and moral fabrics of the Asante Kingdom and generations. Nananum say, Ohima Due Niamani Hunu. For Joy News, my name is Buache Yedum. Kumasi.
Well, sad times for us.
Yeah, so sad.
As a nation.
Yeah.
Well, we keep mourning and we're hoping it goes on well for us as a nation.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're back though.
Thank you.
Healthy, strong, better.
Yes,
this is the famous Carlos Coloni in the studio. And I'm glad he's back.
Yeah,
While you've been away, it's been quite a week for us.
Right.
Lots of things have happened in your absence.
Things, yeah.
But I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, we thank God.
Hope your neck is better now.
I'm better. I'm better.
Don't mind me, I'm teasing him.
Right.
Well, that's how we wrap up the bulletin, Carlos.
Sure.
Tell them where they can find more news.
Well, you can go to myjoyonline.com for more stories. Thank you so much for watching. Prime Business is up next.